One. Welcome back to the Alchemist Nation podcast. My name is Walter Morello, and I have the pleasure of traveling all across the country, speaking to real estate investors and professionals who help real estate investors do their job a little bit easier. Today, I've got a very, very unique and special guest. Ron White is somebody who's memorized more names than anybody else on the planet. Ron White, welcome to the show.
Hey, okay. Well, thank you very much. I would say maybe that's possible. That is a possible thing to say. But I can't. That hasn't been verified by anybody. But it is verified that I'm here and that I'm on your show. So thank you very much.
You're welcome, Ron. It was an honor, and it was a struggle to find you, man. For years, I was looking for the secrets to memorization, and suddenly I joined this mastermind with Ken Walls, and you just happened to show up and be there. And I've been looking for you for a long time. Had no clue. Ron, what made you start memorizing things? I mean, you've memorized some crazy stuff. Before I ask, what is the craziest thing you've ever memorized?
Well, first of all, if you've been trying to find me and you haven't, my marketing sucks. So I need to get better at that. But I've been doing this 30 years. So I'm a two-time USA memory champion. I used to hold the record for the fastest to memorize a deck of cards in the United States. Did it in a minute and 27 seconds. I held the record for the longest number ever memorized in 5 minutes in the United States. I memorized a 167-digit number in 5 minutes. But those really weren't crazy. Those were things that I kind of prepared for, and trained for, and those records have been broken, and it's, it was fun though. It's things I'm proud of. I will say the most fun, crazy thing I ever did was Mike Tyson and Kal Penn. Kal Penn is on he's an actor. He's on a lot of shows, and I can't think of him because I don't follow movies. But Kal Penn and Mike Tyson had a TV show on Fox called Superhuman, and they got 15 girls, models, just beautiful women, and they dressed them up like cowgirls. They had boots and hats, and they made the set of the TV show like a country western bar. And I had to go up to all 15 girls and talk to them like I was a ladies' man. And I would say, "Hey, what's your name?" And they'd say, "My name's Stacy." "Oh, Stacy, tell me a little bit about you." "Oh, I like gymnastics." "Oh, okay. Can I get your phone number? Maybe call you later." And then they would say a 10-digit phone number, which was actually a Google Voice number. So I went to 15 girls and I did that. Each of them gave me 3 pieces of data: their name, a fact, like they like gymnastics or whatever, and then their phone number. So it was 150 numbers, because 10 digits times 15 girls. And then after I went all the way through all 15 girls, then Mike Tyson was sitting over to the side, and he was like, "Ron, the girl in the red hat, call her." And I had a phone, and I had to dial the number that she told me. And if it rang and lit up, I got it right. And if it didn't, I don't know what would have happened if it didn't, because I got everyone perfect. I got 5 out of 5. And that was probably the most, I've done things I'm more proud of in memory. And we can talk about those later, but that the craziest, funnest, one of the most difficult things I ever did was that.
So you actually found a way to memorize, not only to pick up 15 girls in one night, but also memorize their phone numbers and be able to really recall their numbers just fully by memory, no cell phone, and call them back right away on demand.
Yes.
I think that most girls out there wish that you would teach this skill to the guys that they're meeting at the clubs, because they never get that call back.
Yeah. Well, maybe if you're not getting the call back, the guy's an idiot and didn't prioritize it. He doesn't, and you don't need him anyways. A guy's going to recognize something good when he sees it. He'll call you.
I like that.
But I would say that, to be honest with you, I didn't want to do the ladies' man. They call it the ladies' man bit. I didn't want to do it because, it's not my personality necessarily, but I wanted to do something where I memorized everybody's name in the audience. I wanted to memorize all 200 people's names in the audience and call them all by their names. And I thought, matter of fact, I said, "Let's do that." They said, no, we can't do that. It's against the rules. You can't interact with the audience. I'm like, "Oh man." They said, "We want you to do this with the ladies." I'm like, "Okay." And then they invited another guy on the show, and they said, "Hey, we got this idea. Do you think you could memorize everybody's name in the audience?" I was like, "Oh no, that's what I wanted. That was my idea." But anyway.
That's awesome. And they didn't let you do it on that show, but you have memorized people's names in audiences before. What's the most you've ever memorized in an audience?
Robert Kiyosaki had a franchise, if you want to call it that, up in Canada, and Darren Weeks ran that. And Darren had seen me speak at one of Robert Kiyosaki's events. Oh, and you guys are a real estate podcast, so you guys know. Guys probably know. Well, you do. I'm no doubt you know who Robert.
Poor Dad, Ken McElroy, absolutely.
Darren, yeah, Ken and I, we spent a lot of time together. We went around Malaysia and Singapore back in 2005, and speaking on a speaking tour. And later on, Ken, Robert, and I went through Germany and Italy and did some speaking in Europe too. But when Ken and I were in Singapore, we got kicked out. We went and they said we thought it was a bar, a pool hall. So we went in. It was called the American Club. We're like, oh, how lucky are we? We found the American Club in Singapore. So we're in there. We're playing pool for an hour. And somebody comes up to us. It looked like a pretty nice place. Somebody came up to us and they're like, "Excuse me, what are you guys doing in here?" "We're playing pool. This is the American Club. We're Americans." They're like, "This is a private club." Oh, it is. Somehow we just walked in the front door. So Ken and I, if you ever talk to Ken and I got kicked out of a place because we are not sophisticated enough.
You're talking about Ken McElroy, the king of multifamily investing.
Yes. I got kicked out of a bar with him. It really wasn't a bar. We thought it was a bar. We thought we were getting kicked out of a bar. It was a fancy members only exclusive club.
So not only did you find a way into the fancy American club, you also found a way out of it really quickly. You got kicked out of a highly exclusive club.
We did. And that was 17 years ago. So it was crazy. It's amazing how time flies, and he's a wonderful guy. Anyways, that's a little side note of a Ken story. I bet. Anyways, so I spoke for Robert once in Arizona at his event, and I memorized all 150 names in the audience at his event. And one of the guys at the event saw me there, the guy who runs the Canada thing, and he said, "Ron, you got to go to Canada and do this at my event." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." So I show up. There's 300 and some people there, and I said, "Okay, man, I'm looking forward to this." He said, "I can't wait for you to do what you did at Robert's event and memorize everybody's name." I'm like, "No, no, there was 150 people there. I'm going to get 150 people in your audience. I'm not going to, there's 300 people here." He goes, no, you're going to get them all. I said, "Dude, that's twice what I've done. I've never done that many." He goes, "Oh, so the first time is going to be with me? That's awesome." And I'm like, "No, dude." He started walking away, and he turned around and he goes, "You got it." And I'm like, "Oh." The next day, I memorized 301 names as they went through the lunch line. I had them all stand up. I called off their name. And, I'm grateful for that. And there's a little lesson out of that. And I think the lesson is we all have these glass ceilings. We all have, what we think we're capable of, whether it be memory related or money related. We think, oh, well, this is the set amount of money that I'm comfortable with. I want to go past that. I want to make 2 or 3 times this, but I'm not comfortable with that. Or maybe in your industry, real estate, some people might have a glass ceiling of the kind of deals. Maybe there's a price level of a deal they've never gone over, and they just kind of feel comfortable there or below. So, that's a good analogy. We all need a Darren Weeks to boom push us through.
Ron, I love that you said that, because you're right. Like, there is a limit to income, mental limit. There's an limit to your real estate, how much you could buy, how much you believe you can buy. And for memorization, we all have these self-imposed limits of how much I believe I can remember. And here's the reason we're doing this podcast. Names are the most important thing in real estate. Memorizing somebody's name, memorizing things about them is the key to building a deep relationship. There's no sweeter sound than a person's name. So Ron is teaching us the process for memorization, how to get to it. And you have a course that you provide also, Ron, which I'm going to ask about in a little bit. But before we do, how did you find this skill? How did you discover that you were able to memorize things better than other people?
Well, here is the answer to your question. But also, before I answer the question, I want to say that I am not able to memorize better than others. My natural memory, just my natural memory. Cicero, 2,000 years ago, he wrote about memory. Believe it or not, he was a Roman philosopher, statesman, writer, very accomplished writer. And he wrote about two angles on memory. He talked about natural memory and artificial memory. Natural memory is just what you and I naturally have, right? It's what we consider to be our only memory if we don't know a system. Then he can talk about artificial memory, which is a system, a memory system. So 30 years ago, I had my natural memory. It's what you have, and it's what everybody listening has, just our natural memory, and the systems maybe of repetition and review and that kind of stuff. That is no better than anybody else's. I have no higher IQ for memory or IQ for intelligence. But what happened was 30 years ago, I was a telemarketer and I worked for a company that cleaned chimneys. And I would call people, can we clean your chimney? 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 One day I called the guy, I said, can we clean your chimney? He said, we don't want our chimney cleaned. We're trying to sell our house. I said, if you're trying to sell your house, you need a clean chimney. He laughed. He said, I don't know about that, but I do need a good telemarketer. Will you go to work for me? And then this was him talking to me. He said, I sell memory training seminars and I'll pay you more than you're making now, which was a pretty safe bet. Okay. Anybody could have said that to me and they would have been right. All right. If you would have robbed me, you would have just been practicing. And I went to work for him the next day. And here's the crazy thing, Walter, and this is crazy. Honestly, today may be the day. And I'm very serious about this. Today may be, this is what I mean by today may be the day. I had this conversation with this man right after the 4th of July, and I don't know the exact day, right after the 4th of July in 1991. This could be the day exactly 30 years ago. Now, I don't know if it is, but I'll tell you this, it was this week. It was this week, 30 years ago. It's very likely that today was the day. We got a 1 in 7 chance, actually 1 in 5, because I know it was Monday through Friday. We had a 20% chance that this was the day. So I went to work for him and he taught me the system. He taught me what artificial memory is. That I did get really good at. But the only reason I got really good at it is because I practiced it. I tell people all the time, do you think you could learn Spanish if you practiced every day for 20 minutes a day for a year? Oh, yeah, I think I could learn Spanish. That's all I did. I learned another language. It's the language of memory.
That's fascinating that you look at it as a language. And
Yes.
the other night, you actually revealed your secret. You revealed your process to the mastermind and walked us through the steps. How often do you do that? How often do you share your knowledge with other people? And if so, if you do it, why do you believe it's so valuable? And what keeps driving you? I know that question came up the other night, and I know it's changed for you over the years. But what keeps driving you now? Like, why do you still go out and teach people memory?
Well, first of all, yes, I share anywhere and everywhere. I have no bones about it. I don't hold anything back. And the reason I don't, I heard a memory expert once say, and I'm not going to say his name, but he said, I don't teach everybody everything I know because I hold some things back just for me, just for my private use. I'm like, are you serious? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? I mean, you ever see the TV shows with the sword fighters and one of the sword fighters knocks the sword out of the other guy's hand, and then he picks up the other guy's sword in his hand and hands him the sword and lets him get the sword back, and then they go at it again like a gentlemanly gesture. The guy knows he's going to beat him either way, with the sword or without the sword. So take your sword and let's go. And
Right.
this guy, this other memory expert, he's holding stuff back. He's pick up the guy's sword, give him the tools, and then now, but he's thinking of people are going to beat him out of his job. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't see it that way. And also I think a guy asked me once, and I'm kind of going a little sideways here, and I'll get back to your question. But one guy asked me once, he said, Ron, why do you give so much free stuff away, just teaching everything you know? And And I said, well, first of all, I'm not teaching everything I know because we would be talking, I'd be talking for days on memory, but I am giving away a lot. And it's because I want to help people. I want to give away so much value. And if they get value in it, yeah, they'll want to learn more later. But if they don't, at least I help the ones that want to learn. And I think they can tell that there is more information. You know what I'm saying? I just can't get to it. It's not that I'm trying to hold it back. So I do that all the time, and I'll teach anybody anywhere, anytime, no problem. Unless I'm doing jujitsu, and then just leave me alone. But sometimes the jujitsu guys will start talking to me. I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to stay alive right now.
Yeah.
Now, what drives?
Don't ask me questions when I'm getting feet, thrown at me, fists thrown at me.
Man, last night was brutal. I was going with this one guy, and he was having a conversation with another guy while he was making me fight for my life. I'm like, guys, man, this is demoralizing enough. Do you have to be carrying on a conversation while you're doing it? Anyways.
And so Ron, how did you get into jujitsu, and does it help you with memory? Is it one of those secret tricks?
Yeah, I will. Okay. So I'll do that. Let me talk about that. And let me say what drives me now. So it's evolved over the years. What drove me 30 years ago, you know what it was? It was money. It was the potential for money, and it was, I liked being a showman. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Oh man. I forgot to tell you what my fee is for being on podcasts. Okay.
It's going up, right?
It is now, at least for one. I'm just joking.
I love it.
30 years ago, I was 18. So I'm 48 years old right now. So money, being a business guy, achievement, success, that's what drove me. And then later on, it evolved to, it wasn't money, but it was, I wanted to just be the best memory guy. I wanted to win championships and tournaments and competitive kind of thing. And that's still there. That, I'll be honest with you, that's still there. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's what, and you know what, my customers benefit from it, because I always want to be better. I want to go in and improve my course. I want to do it for my customers, but I also want to do it because I want to be the best, because I want to be better than the other guys. So I think that there's a good part of ego, that if you use it for good, like Elon Musk, I think he has a big ego, but he's using it to go to Mars, and he wants to be the first. He wants to beat Bezos, and he wants to beat Branson. That's when ego can be harnessed for the greater good. Agreed. But I'll tell you this, my major driving force right now is legacy. And I think that happens when you get older. I don't have any kids. I do have a cell phone that I forget to turn off. But if I put out, the way I see it, if I keep putting out stuff on the internet, videos and books and blogs and doing podcasts and speaking at events, it's going to impact lives, because people are going to say, wow, I can now remember my schoolwork. I can now study for a test. Well, I'm a Johnny Cash fan, and that's my ringtone. Now it is turned off.
You got good taste.
So that's what drives me. And then don't tell anybody the memory guy is asking this, but in the middle of that story, you asked me another question. I said, I'm going to come back to it. This proves my natural memory is no better than yours, because I have no idea what it was.
It's funny because I don't remember either, but it wouldn't have been that important. The conversation we're having is so valuable and leading in the right direction for us. What we've discovered so far is that you are capable of remembering things at a higher level than people are currently aware of, that they have as well. You use something called artificial memory, where you're storing it in your system. And I learned your system the other night, or at least on a super basic level. You were able to actually deliver it really quickly. I know the podcast, we only have about 5 minutes left, so we don't actually have time to go into the details of it, but I'll tell anybody who's listening, it does work. And it is simple. And it's something as simple as deciding to learn the process and go through it. And Ron, if somebody wanted to reach out to you and learn more about how to do the memory trick or the memory process to learn, because this is important, if everybody who's listening doesn't understand, memorizing people's names, memorizing their likes, their interests, the things they're looking for, is a skill set you require to be a more proficient salesperson, a better investor, a better team leader, a better real estate agent. Somebody who wants to help and cares about other people needs to be able to remember their names. So it's an important skill set, Ron. And then for for listening to trainings. Like you were just saying, kids with homework, being able to memorize the things they learn, their principles they learn in homework and school, to be able to take those and memorize them. If you could give somebody a basic overview of it, and then I want to know the website before we go into it. What is your website? What's the easiest way to get in touch with you?
So the website, go to, I think you got to put the www in right now because the redirect is not working. So make sure you put in www.blackbeltmemory.com. And if you have trouble remembering that, think of the martial arts. You're a black belt. So blackbeltmemory.com. But make sure you put the www. We're probably going to get that fixed, but the last few days, it's only been working with www. And here's the basic concept behind it. To remember anything, you need a place to store the data. Do you have file cabinets in your office? Sure, you have file cabinets. If you didn't have a file cabinet and you just threw the papers on the floor, would it be less effective? Yes, it would be less effective. That's what you're doing with your memory. You're taking your school homework, your speeches, your presentations, the names you want to remember, and you're tossing it on the floor of your memory. You need to build file cabinets in your memory, file cabinets in your brain. The most effective technique for this, hands down, bar none, without question, I've competed in the World Memory Championship. There is not a single champion of the world in memory who does not use the Mind Palace technique. It's known as the Mind Palace and the Memory Palace, and it is where you imagine a room, and you imagine you're walking into a room, and the data you want to recall, you start visualizing interacting with the furniture. But you need to have your furniture numbered, 1 being a bookshelf, 2 being a TV, 3 being a window, 4 being a chair, 5 being a table, something like that. You need to number it, number 20 pieces of furniture in your house. And then the next time you have 20 words you want to remember, whether maybe it's 20 points to a speech you want to give, see these interacting with the furniture. You'll be able to memorize 20 words that way, 40 words, 50 words. I've memorized 7,000 words for one project that way. So it is effective. It works. And it's www.blackbeltmemory.com. Anybody can do this. Anybody can improve their memory. If you can close your eyes and walk around your house and know where the furniture is, you can do it.
I love it, Ron. It's blackbeltmemory.com. And before I let you go, I've got a question that I ask every single time I have somebody who's really inspirational on the podcast. If you could go back, just imagine going back to 20-year-old Ron White and give yourself 3 pieces of advice that would be life-changing, or at least move you to where you are today, happier, faster, and more wealthy. What 3 pieces of advice would you go back to give a 20-year-old person just starting out, an entrepreneur looking to get to where you are today?
Number 1, get a good CPA and a bookkeeper. Nothing is going to hold you back more than trouble with the IRS, not knowing exactly where your money is, not knowing that will hold more people back than anything. Not knowing their numbers and not doing their taxes on time, like I did in my early 20s. That set me back years in my early 20s. The second thing that I would say is you're dying. You are dying. You are going to be, almost everybody listening to this podcast is going to be dead in 50 years, and certainly everybody will be in 80 years. You are going to be dead. Whatever it is you want to do, take the risk. If it's not going to kill you, take the risk. If it's not going to kill you, take the risk. And then the last thing that I would say, comparison is the thief of joy. That's a quote by Teddy Roosevelt. And what I mean by this is decide what metric you want to measure your life and your happiness by, and don't do it to keep up with the Joneses. Maybe success in money is what is going to make you happy, but maybe it's just you want to be a really good guitar player. Maybe it's just you want to travel to 100 countries. Maybe you want to write a book or whatever. But don't allow society or other people's idea of success define you, and don't get anxious, anxiety, and depressed if you're not measuring up. Comparison is the thief of joy. Enjoy what you have. Enjoy what you have. If anyone is destroyed by poverty, it is only because they have been deceived by prosperity. Enjoy what you have.
I love it. Ron, I'm on a mission to build 100 millionaires, and I think that memory is one of the skill sets that it takes to get there. And this mission is 100 millionaires who are inspired to build 100 millionaires. We call ourselves Alchemists because we transform ourselves into higher beings, somebody who gives back and helps other people, helps teach and train. And I believe that you have that alchemist ability, that desire to empower others and train others. So I from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for the gift that you've been giving the world, for helping other people, and for hanging out with us today. I really appreciate you, brother.
Well, man, this was really good. This was a really good podcast and a really good interview. It went a lot of angles that doesn't normally go. So I really it was good change for me, and I enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you, my friend. Cheers to your success. When you have a choice, always work with the best.
All right, man. Great to see you.